Hello, welcome to day 48 of 99 Days of Deeper Embodiment. My name is Jason King. I have to apologize. Today, I am very late in doing the live stream today, so if you were waiting around, I really apologize. I was driving through an area where there was no service, so there was no way for me to do the live stream on time today because there was just no cell phone service. So I really apologize for that. This will be my last day in the Zion area for a while. This is the Zion National Park area. And I'm leaving and headed back up to Salt Lake City, where I will be living for some time, it feels like. And so um, I went early this morning to the scenic route through Zion National Park, which was really quite beautiful. And it was interesting to be there because the park is full of really big rocks and canyons. They're very strong. I mean, sitting in the presence of those rocks, just get a sense of how big they are and how small the body is in comparison. And so I was sitting in the park for some time, and as I'm sitting in the park, coming into myself, I just began to really dissolve any sort of idea of an external reality at all. And what I realized is that this is where the power is. Always. This is where the power is. The power is in dissolving it into nothing in any moment. I had a lot of experiences which brought clarity. And I would say that every single one of the experiences that I've had in my life, when I begin to see what the mind is doing and I recognize it, it's like, oh my goodness, it's just another game. It's just another way that the mind is extending the game, the play. And one of them is that I spent a lot of time in the jungle doing work with shamans in the jungle. And I was I was talking about this with my friend earlier, and I said to her, I said, what I began to see is that it was all a circus funhouse. That every single time that someone, and this is me after observing people come down to the jungle over and over and over again. So during the time that I was there, I had the opportunity to observe people coming down to the jungle and what would bring them down to the jungle, and then the questions that they would have. And they were always the same. It was always the same questions, always the same concerns. What's wrong with my body? What am I seeing? What are these things that I'm seeing? And then they'd always want to ask the shaman. So they would go to the shaman. I would translate because I speak Spanish fluently, and they would ask the shaman their question. Then the shaman would always give them a different answer. And so after a lot of time there, I was like, oh my goodness, every single person is getting a story every single time. So every single time they ask a question, they're just getting another story. And it doesn't even matter what the story is. The story doesn't matter at all. And then they would take that story and then they would do whatever they wanted with it. They would begin to create a belief around it or whatever it was. And sometimes the belief was helpful. Sometimes it was helpful in the sense that it would give them a more expensive view. And they would start to work with that belief, and then it would help them in whatever way they needed to be helped. And other times the belief became a stumbling block. So for instance, if there's a belief that shows up that says that, I have to stand on one foot every single time that I have a particular idea. It's like, oh, there's an idea that there's a leprechaun there. And every single time that that idea shows up, then I have to stand on one foot. Okay. So this is just an example of how ridiculous it can get, you know. And so here I am listening to the shaman have answers for all of these things, and sometimes the answers would be just like completely ridiculous. Oh, in order to heal yourself, you need to drink the blood of 3 frogs. Oh, okay. So now we have to go out and we have to hunt these 3 frogs, and you need to pay us $100 for every frog. And then you need to drink the blood of the frog. And then when you drink the blood of the frog, then you have to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day. And then after that, you can't eat anything until midnight. And if you have any thought of sex, then that will destroy your healing, and you're going to have to do it all over again, or it'll be even worse. And of course, you're going to have to stay here the whole time that you do this, so it's going to cost you $3,000. And now this person who is looking for healing from whatever they're looking for healing from, then they pay their $3,000 and then they drink their frog's blood and they get up every single morning and they drink their frog's blood. Hi, Alex. Nice to see you. And then of course, through this experience, then they receive a healing. Wonderful. Okay, you received a healing. Thank you. That's beautiful. So you created a situation where your mind gave you a whole bunch of things to do, and then you paid a lot of money, and then you did them, and then through that, you began to believe that you're healed. Awesome. So all of that you did created the circumstances for you to believe that you're healed. Fantastic. So you just got a permission slip, and that permission slip allowed you to expand in your beliefs. And now you've expanded your beliefs. And what did you have to do in order to expand your beliefs? Well, you had to drink some frog's blood, and you had to jump on one foot and touch your head a whole bunch of times and do some backflips and whatever the hell it is. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And so now everyone would come and they would ask the same questions. Okay, well, now I'm seeing a spirit. What do I do when I see this bad spirit? Or I have a negative idea or a negative thought. What do I do? And then the shaman would give an answer. And then the answer would sometimes be absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes it would be a little bit less ridiculous, but still ridiculous. And see, I'm using this sarcastic way of speaking about it to kind of get you a sense of the insanity that the mind brings us into. All designed to extend the illusion, like extend the play, extend the game. And so yeah, there's expansion going on here. It feels like there's an exploration going on here. It feels like there's things being learned here. It feels like there's something happening, and that feels fun. It's exciting. I know it was exciting for me because I spent years there, and it was exciting. I felt like I was doing something. I felt like I was expanding my consciousness, and I felt like I was learning something, until I began to see through it. And then once I began to see through it, it was like, oh, well, these are just ideas. What is this? And then what I began to recognize was that it's all just ideas. Oh my goodness. And I began to see how the mind pulls to bring more and more and more ideas into play, always. And so, yeah, it creates levels of consciousness, it creates ideas of expansion, it creates ideas that, there is some place to go, there is an evolution. See, but the more that we energize these things, the more and more circus fun houses there are to go into, and the more and more deep we go into the hall of mirrors. So the idea here with deeper embodiment is to just cut that all off. There's no reason to go into the hall of mirrors anymore. Because what we want to begin to see is that no matter how strong the ideas are that there is an exterior world, that there is an external world, that there is an external reality, and these ideas are very strong, obviously. I went through Zion National Park this morning, and the ideas of those rocks are very, very strong. They're very solid. They're very there. And so if I were to smash my body against the rocks, that would hurt. If I were to jump off the rocks, that would definitely be painful. Because those are pretty solid ideas, and people are going there all the time and they're just, you know, not aware, giving more energy to those ideas over and over and over and over again. So a whole lot of energy is given to this idea of an external reality. A whole lot of energy by everyone is given to the idea of New York City and the buildings in New York City. So try to test that idea and you'll probably find that it's going to be quite painful. While at the same time, the idea of deeper embodiment is to recognize, oh, everything external to me is an idea. Absolutely everything, including my body. And so as soon as I see that, then I come into my power. So I no longer have to give power to the shaman that tells me that I have to drink frog's blood and jump on one foot and not have sexual thoughts. I don't have to do that anymore, because now I'm sourcing from my own power. And in sourcing from my own power, I then recognize, oh, I am the awareness of this, and I can dissolve any idea just by simply being present with it. And so this is just bringing the focus to the inner screen. And the inner screen is just the screen that is awareness all the time. I am the inner screen. I am not what is happening out here. What is happening out here, the words, the ideas, the interactions, everything that I'm seeing, all of that is just a play. All of it. And so the more focus I bring to the inner screen, the more ability that I have to dissolve anything that shows up in the outer, what looks like an outer world, in a perceived reality. So I could just be present with it. And when I'm present with it, then I'm not giving it any more energy. I'm not feeding it any more of my time, because that's what energy is, right? So if I'm focusing on it, then I'm giving it time. That's what energy is, right? Every time I focus on something, then I'm giving it time. So time is an illusion, but it is the way that we quantify what we're focused on. It is the way that we can see what we're focusing on. So anywhere that I'm focused is where my energy is going. And so if I'm focused on what is external to me, then there's no energy going into my ability to be present with myself. There's no energy going into the awareness of self as awareness. There's no energy going into awareness itself. And so all of my energy is going into the ideas. All of my energy is going into the perceived reality. All of my energy is now going into reinforcing the ideas that are showing up around me. And there's no energy going into seeing that I am awareness and having the ability to meet and dissolve the ideas. And so the more presence that I command, the more ability there is to quiet the mind in any moment. Any ideas that are there, they just fall into the silence that I am. Because I know that I can be present with anything because I am presence itself. So it doesn't matter how strong the ideas are. It doesn't matter how they tug at my mind or how they pull me into different scenarios, different explorations. I can be present with all of it because I see that I am presence itself. So in this dissolves the idea of a me. There is no longer a personal me. While I'm sitting in Zion Park this morning, I'm dissolving the idea of a personal me as I'm dissolving the idea of rocks. And that all dissolves into just being present here and now. That's all there is just being present here and now. Only presence here and now. That's all there is. And this is what oneness is. Oneness, I don't even like the word oneness because oneness describes something that evokes the idea of people acting together in some sort of a unity or agreement consciousness. And so every time that word is used, then we have an imagination that comes up around it. And it says, oh, well, this is what oneness is. Everyone should act as one. Well, not not so much. I mean, Hitler's army acted as one, and that you know that could be argued that that's unity right there. You could say, oh yeah, that's unity consciousness right there. They're all acting as one. What are they doing as one? Oh, wonderful. Okay, you see, that's not actually oneness. What is oneness is seeing that there is only one. There is nothing more than what is present here and now. And anything else that shows up is an idea. Anything else at all, any sensation, any object, all of that is idea. And all of that is just showing up within presence, within what I already am. And so one is the truth. There is only one, not oneness, because oneness is pointing to something that really isn't true. The idea that there's many, many people and that those many, many people act as one at some point. Some sort of future reality where everyone is acting as one. So we can just drop that idea fully and completely into what is now, and what is now is just being present here and now. And presence is always what is true. So as soon as I have the ability to see the inner screen, which is presence, then anything that shows up on this perceived reality outside of me, what is here, anything that shows up out here, then I have the ability to be fully present with it. And as I have the ability to be fully present with it, then I can bring all of the energy that I'm giving those ideas into the center point. And as I bring it into the center point where the inner screen is, then it takes the energy away from those ideas. And as it takes the energy away from those ideas, then those ideas get less sticky. They start to move all on their own. And so here, this is where it becomes challenging, because the more that I move into the center point, the more I recognize myself as presence, the more the ideas that are around me, they get less sticky, and so the more change that begins to occur. The more change that shows up in my reality, because I'm actually beginning to dissolve the ideas, which I've never actually done before because I've always been giving all of my energy to the dream. I've been giving all of my energy to the illusion. My attention has always been hooked into what is external to me, and so that's where all of my energy has been flowing my entire life. So as soon as I start to bring the energy into the center point here, right here and now, which can feel as if it's right in the heart, it can feel as if it's centered in the body. As soon as I just bring my awareness into the fact that awareness is right here, this is what is aware, then it begins to dissolve the ideas, because I'm no longer energizing those ideas as fixed things. as fixed objects, as an external reality which is fixed. And so, because I'm not energizing a fixed reality anymore, then things are more fluid, then they can move more fluidly, and they can begin to shift and change more fluidly. And so this is where there's a lot of fear around this. There's a lot of fear around embodiment, because then all of a sudden it means that things shift around me, and that there's less solidity to my reality. There's less solidity to what is around me. And how do things begin to shift? Well, random things begin to happen. Synchronistic events begin to show up. And the more that I see that I am awareness, the less attached I am to anything at all in the external reality, because it's all just a dream that's doing itself anyway. And because it's all just a dream that's doing itself anyway, then at any moment I can just bring myself back into the center point, back into the here and now, and it really doesn't matter who the president is. It really doesn't matter what is going on in the external reality at all, because all I'm doing is just withdrawing my focus from the external reality and bringing it into what is true always. It never ever changes, and that is the awareness that I am. And so from this center point, anytime the mind shows up and tries to drag me into another circus funhouse, like the circus funhouse I was living with the shaman in the jungle, where the shaman has a different idea for everyone and a different way of doing things for everyone, which is, yes, it looks like there's an expansion of consciousness. Yes, it looks like there's an evolution, but every single person is getting a different version of something that is actually not true at all. Because what is the truth here? Well, the truth is that your mind is creating all of it anyway. So all you have to do is withdraw your focus from it and focus on the awareness that is always here and now, and then you can dissolve it within yourself. So do you ever need healing from anyone else? No, that's bullshit. Absolutely not. But sure, you can give a lot of energy to that idea, a lot of energy to the idea that someone knows more than you, a lot of energy to the idea that there's more enlightened people than you. But that's total bullshit. There's no truth to that whatsoever. None at all. Even the idea that there's levels of consciousness, that is just an idea. It is a perceptual thing. It is conceptual. You are feeding energy, energizing an idea of a conceptual reality that is external to you, where there is an evolution that is happening, and that this evolution has levels of consciousness, and that you're expanding through those levels of consciousness. It is all ideas. And so the moment that you just come into the still center point within you, all of that drops away. All of it, here and now. None of it is true. It is only relatively true within the ideas that you're energizing, within the ideas that you're energizing, that you're really giving your focus to. So if you choose to focus on that, then that comes into your vision, and that becomes your reality as you're focused on it. And so you can put a lot of energy into the expansion of your consciousness in that way, because you can give a lot of energy to those ideas. But that is just another circus funhouse. Until you come into the still point, which is here and now, then you actually don't have any ability to dissolve the ideas. Any idea that shows up, it's showing up, and it becomes immediately believed, because your consciousness is hooked on the external version of reality. And because your consciousness is hooked on the external version of reality, you're not looking at what you actually are. And what you actually are is the awareness that is energizing all of it. So as long as you can't see that you're the awareness that's energizing all of it, then you're putting something in front of the truth of you. And as you put that in front of the truth of you, which is an idea, then all of your attention flows into that idea, and that becomes your relative truth, your perspective. So the whole point of embodying the self is to begin to drop out of the imaginations, begin to drop into what is here and now. And when I say drop out of, I'm referring to your consciousness. So, what is consciousness? Consciousness is what is seeing. What is seeing is what is aware. And what is aware doesn't have senses. So, awareness is not vision. Awareness is not felt. Awareness is not um, what your nose is perceiving. Your scent. Awareness is none of these things. And yet, at the same time, awareness is what is energizing all of them. If I ask you, are you aware? Then immediately you look at what is aware. Are you aware? Oh, and you see that. But you see it before there's a thought about it. Before there's a thought about it, you are aware that there's awareness here. As soon as you move into the thought about it, then you're creating an object, you're imagining a you, and then in that imagination, then you're imagining that there is a you that is aware. And that's thought. Stop before the thought. Are you aware? And then you see it. Yes, there's awareness here. Oh, you see it? There's awareness here. That's you. And so the more that you focus on that, the more all the ideas that are on this outer screen, all the ideas that are projecting a reality, some sort of thing that you can touch or perceive, all of that begins to collapse into the awareness that is you, because you just see it. It is instant. Boom. So all of this talk over the past 48 days of embodiment is actually instant. You are either energizing ideas or you are embodied here and now. It's one step, nothing more than that. So either you are energizing ideas or boom, you're embodied. And you're embodied the instant that you see that you are what is aware without any thoughts about it. And when you see it, stay there. Don't move. Focus only on that. And that is when the fun begins. Because from there, any idea that says that you're a body that can be ill, a body that lacks, that you're a person that needs, that you're a person that's been traumatized, that this happened to you or that happened to you, all of that is instantly seen through right here, now. Boom. None of that's true. And so there's no more focus being given to it. You instantly wake up. And so all this talk over 48 days is really just to continue to point to what is true. Because waking up is instant. There's no process to waking up. There's no unfoldment to waking up. Unfoldment and processes, that is within mind. Evolution, that is within mind. Growth, that is within mind. No. You are either awake here and now, boom, or you're energizing thoughts. Thank you for joining me here today, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day, evening, or afternoon. Bye bye now.